Hi, this is Mike, WB4HUC. And since I'm on this kick of writing software to talk to my Elecraft devices, I thought I'd share this last one that I've done. In the KAT500 utility program and the KPA500 utility program, there's something they call a command tester that lets you enter commands to those devices directly and then see the results. And Elecraft made this really easy because the commands are all text strings. So there's no binary, there's no hexadecimal, there's no binary coded decimal that you have to worry about. You just enter in the text strings and you get back a text response. So I decided that in amongst writing the software for the tuner and the amplifier, that I'd write sort of a general purpose command tester of my own. And again, I did this just as a programming exercise and something that would talk to the K4 as well as the tuner and the amp. So all you need to do when you start the program is enter in the serial port number and the baud rate, and you should be good to go. So I thought I'd walk through this, try to be quick about it. But this is the program, and it isn't very big. Again, written in BBC Basic for SDL. And this is what you're looking at here is the IDE, or the Integrated Development Environment, for that. And the interesting thing about this is the IDE is also written in BBC Basic. But this program is, according to here, 63 lines long, and it's pretty well commented. I think it's pretty well laid out for what it does. But we'll walk through it real quick, and then I'll just demonstrate the command tester. So here we, as in the tuner and amplifier programs, we ask the user to enter the COM port number. Then we ask them to enter the serial port baud rate. Then we issue the mode command. I say DOS mode command. It actually executes in a command line window. But we build the command, and then we execute that command here. And that just establishes the characteristics of the port in case it's not responding. Sometimes in the morning when I come in and I turn the computer on, I turn the equipment on, the serial port doesn't seem to want to respond. But issuing this mode command seems to take care of that. So, and it doesn't hurt to do it every time. So it's just coded in here permanently to be issued. That way I don't have to worry about whether it's the first time I'm trying to run it or not. Anyway, and then we set the port parameters for the open command. We issue the mode command. Then as in the amp and tuner programs, when we close the window that this program runs in, he'll execute this tiny procedure here to close the port and quit. And so we set up this situation for later, and then we open the serial port for update, and then this number will be greater than 0 if it worked, and it'll be 0 if it didn't work. Most of the time when it doesn't work, it's because the port is already open. But in that case, we probably won't even get here because the mode command won't work if the port is open to some other application. So more than likely what will happen, if the port's already open, the mode command will die, and I'll get a vague error message reported by BASIC that doesn't really tell you what the problem is. But I had this happen a few times until I figured out that I had my logging program open or some other program open talking to the gadget that my BASIC program was trying to talk to, and the mode command just didn't work. But I finally figured that out. So if the port is actually open somewhere else, I think this is going to die first. But so this is probably poorly worded. Probably if there's any problem with opening the port, you're going to get this. But again, as I said, most of the time it's because the port's already open. And I put this in here before I added the mode command. So anyway, this is what happens if the port doesn't open. Even if the mode command works and the port doesn't open, for whatever reason, you'll get this message. But assuming we get past this, we go down into this repeat until block that will just, again, exactly what it says. This code will repeat until I end the program by typing the word end on the command line. So the first thing we do is we'll tell it to enter the command, and this will be a command to the device trying to talk to, whether that be the tuner, the amp, or the radio. And then we check to see what it is, and if it's the word end in lowercase, then we will exit this repeat loop. We'll go down here, we'll close the port, and we'll end. So, and if not, then if we've actually entered a command, then we will issue the binary put to the port. We'll wait. I think if you say wait 1, I think that's 1/100th of a second. So this is 10/100ths of a second, or 1/10 of a second, I suppose. And then this command, just the program will just go look and see if the device has responded and put any characters. I think there's a buffer for the serial port, and this will go check that buffer to see if there's any characters there to be read. So if we get a 0, then there's no characters. But if we get a non-zero number, then there's characters to be read. We'll clear out this variable. We'll do this for each character there is because the characters are returned one at a time. So we're not going to get a group of 3, 4, 5 characters. From what I've seen, we'll get back, we may get 3 or 4 or 5 characters, but we get them one at a time. So we'll just do this once for each character that's in that buffer. And then we'll do the binary get, and then we'll just concatenate the response to this field, and we'll just keep building this field up until this field contains all the characters that we got back. And then we'll do the next, and we'll just cycle through this loop until we've reached the number of characters that there were to be retrieved. And then we will print out what the response is. So we'll print out the response we got back from the device, and we'll print the number of characters we got back from the device. And we'll print a blank line, and we'll go back and do it all over again. So it's a very small program, very simple program. And again, like I said, it's written in BASIC, which I've explained this before in one of my earlier videos. I wanted something that was easy to use. I wanted something that was sort of self-contained. I didn't want to have to rely on some other sort of software or services. I didn't want to have to use Visual Studio. I didn't want to have to use .NET. I didn't want to have to use any of that stuff, not for something this tiny. So BBC Basic seemed to fit the bill for what I wanted. It is self-contained. It's the basic language that we've been programming in for 40 years. It's simple, it's easy to use, it does the job. So there you go. So now that we've gone through the program, let's just run it and see what happens. So there's the window, and this is the window that if you close it, it will go down to this procedure and close the port and quit, which will close the window. So let's talk to the radios. Let's talk to the K4. K4 is on COM port 3, and the baud rate is 38,400. Now, this is what I was talking about, this bad command. That's what you get when the mode command fails. It doesn't tell you a thing, but just because I've seen it before, I know that this logging program has COM port 3 open so that when I enter in a log entry, I can read the radio to get the mode, I get the frequency and the band and all that. So I'm just going to shut this down. And now that the program has ended, so the difference between end and quit is end will end the program but leave the window open so that I can see, you know, any error messages that might be there. Quit will actually close the window. So I'm going to close the window, and I want to run this again now that I've ended my logging program. So COM port 3, there we go. So if I want to know what the bandwidth is on the radio, I can enter bandwidth, semicolon. So the commands are just text, they're just letters, and with a semicolon at the end to indicate the end of the command. And it tells me that, so I know the radio's in CW mode. I'm sitting here looking at it. It's on 30 meters. And the bandwidth is set to 400 hertz. So 0040 is 400 hertz. Does this work? Yeah. So the band is 04. So it's on 30 meters. So 160 would be 0, 80 would be 1, 60 would be 2, 40 would be 3, and 30 meters gives you back 04. And in the, well, I haven't written a program for the radio, but if I were to write a program to display this from the radio, I would convert the 04 to the actual band. So anyway, you can see we're talking to the radio. And if I show you, see if I can get this all in the same window. So here is the display of the radio, and here is the command tester. So these are going to overlap a little bit, but you can see the bandwidth is set to 40. Well, let's set the bandwidth. Let's set the bandwidth to 20 hertz. I can do that. Bandwidth 0020 semicolon. Keep an eye on the bandwidth indicator here, and it changed to 20 hertz. So basically this just sort of emulates the command tester that you have in the amp and tuner utility programs. I don't know if there's a utility program for the radio that lets you do these things, but the thing that I wrote doesn't care what device he's talking to. It just needs to be an Elecraft device, and then you need to enter the appropriate commands, which are all defined in the manual. So there's no way to switch from one COM port to another. I have not added that, although I could. So what we'll do is we'll end the program, and we'll close this window manually, and I'll get rid of this, and we'll start this up again, and we'll talk to the amp just for fun. So I'm going to start this again. The amplifier is on COM port number 5. And then we'll enter 38400. Okay, so I know why that is. So I actually do have, I just forgot. So I actually do have there we go. So I have the my amplifier reporting program running. It's already got the port open. So I'm going to close that, and we're going to run this again. 538,400, enter command. So if I want to know if the amplifier key line is inhibited or not, I can say NH, and I get NH0. So he echoes back the command you entered plus his response, plus a semicolon at the end. So he says 0, and 0 would be, well, I really should be doing this one for the tuner. So let's ignore this command for the amp, and let's go get PA temperature. So I can enter TM, and we get back 34. So that's 34 degrees centigrade. And in my little status reporting program, I convert that to Fahrenheit, and I display both. The PA voltage and current, we can do I, and these can be upper or lower case. So I just tend to use lowercase. And So we got 74.2 volts uh, on the PA temperature, I'm sorry, on the PA voltage, and the amplifier's not doing anything right now, so the current reported is 0. And then if you count these characters, there's 11 characters. So the radio interface selection, so we can do that, and it tells me 01, which I believe is the K3. There's several choices. So we can end that, and then we can do the same thing for the tuner. So I'll close this and restart it. The tuner is on COM port 2, and he's also 38400. And hey, we don't have to do anything. We're ready to go. So the tuner commands, if I want to know the mode, whether it's operate, standby, or manual. Oops. MD. So he's manual mode. If I push the button on the tuner to go to bypass, and I ask it what the mode is, now it's B for bypass. And you'll notice for the amplifier, we had to put the little caret, which is the shift of the 6 key, in here. Here we don't. And the antenna, which antenna is selected? It's antenna 1. I can push the button on the tuner to change that to antenna 2, antenna 2, and so forth. So anyway, this is just a thing I wrote to sort of emulate the command tester that's built into the Elecraft utility programs. And I did it for 2 reasons. One, just to have a sort of a standalone program that would talk to any device. And number 2 is a programming exercise. And number 3, well, there is no third reason, I suppose. It was just something I could do that seemed to be pretty easy, pretty quick, so I did it. And it's turned out to be useful to me in working with the other programs I've been writing, checking the format of commands to make sure I got them right and that kind of thing. And again, I could expand the program a little bit. Let's go ahead and end this. I could expand the program a little bit so that it lets me close the COM port I'm talking to and open another one to talk to another device without having to stop the program and restart it. I probably should do that since I wrote this to talk to any of the devices. I should probably allow it to close one COM port and open another to talk to a different device. And then I could even put in here if when you enter the COM port number, as long as I don't change them, then it would know which device it's talking to. If I enter COM port number 2, it would know that that's the tuner. If I enter COM port number 5, it would know that that's the amplifier. Until I change cables around and I swap COM ports somewhere, then it would be incorrect. But you know, I would know about that and I could take care of it. Anyway, so we've gone on here for almost 20 minutes, which is a little longer than I wanted to, but I just wanted to demonstrate this. Just another little tool I wrote for myself to emulate some of the Elecraft tools, but put everything in one place so I can talk to any device from one place. And it seems to work pretty well. And with that, I'll say, I guess that's it for now, and thank you for watching.